Hey everyone! If you couldn't tell by the thumbnail or the title, we're doing scary stories. I'm gonna read you some. We got Zach here. Say hi,
Yep.
Zach.
We're gonna be reading scary stories, but Connor hasn't shared his screen yet, so I can't see what he's reading.
You don't have to see what I'm reading, because I'm reading it!
Okay, read it.
Alright, so the first one we got here, it's called Warning, in all caps. 8.7 out of 10. Ooh, this is a long one.
Read it with feeling.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna read this one, and then we'll read one or two more random ones. Zach just gave me this one, so... hold on, I need a bottle of water.
This guy. Oh, we're waiting for him. Yes, we are.
Alright, I'm back with my water. I just realized that since I'm going to be reading for like half an hour, I'm going to need some water.
Great.
So let's get this started, shall we?
Yes.
My friends and I had just left a party at our local bar, and we were walking back to my house, seeing how it wasn't too far away from where we were. On our way back, we happened to come across a small lot sandwiched between two apartment buildings that was filled with black garbage bags and piles of tire. Rich proposed going in. Rich is one of the friends. And after a few minutes of consideration, Dennis and I agreed. Obviously, there's nothing special or fun about a rotten-smelling junkyard, but we were a bit drunk, so the idea seemed great at the time. We decided to play a game called King of the Hill on the front of the tires that stood before us. Basically, we were just pushing each other off the top. After a while of climbing up and falling down piles of tires in an iconic attempt of having fun, we took a break by sitting against one of the dumpsters that stood near the entrance. As I tried to get a hold of my breath, I gazed around the small dump and noticed something I failed to spot out before. It was a white grocery bag hanging from the fence in the back corner of the junkyard. I figured that someone tried to throw it over, but it got caught in the fence on its way down. The bag seemed to be filled with something. It had blocky edges poking out from all sides. I know something as plain as a grocery bag isn't much, but it intrigued me. "Hey," I said, as I nudged Rich, who happened to be sitting next to me. "Look over there." Dennis leaned out behind Rich and looked towards where I was pointing. "So, it's just a few rips. No one's gonna care about whether or not the bags are torn," said Rich. He was pointing out to the tears our shoes had left in the trash bags when we were playing our little game. "No, the grocery bag hanging from the fence," I said. "So? Well, it's filled with something." "And?" said Dennis. I shrugged. "Don't you guys want to know what's inside?" "No," Rich chuckled. "It's just trash, man." "What if it was something like jewelry?" I said as I stood and made my way towards the grocery bag. "You're gonna find a dead cat in there, dude," Dennis hollered as I struggled to climb the mound of garbage bags that blocked my path. His sentence was followed by the two of them laughing. I didn't really care what they had to say. I was just a bit curious. That's all. Once I made it to the other side, I reached for the grocery bag and grabbed it. Inside was a whole bunch of cassette tapes and an old Walkman. "No way, you guys gotta see this," I called to my friends. "Did you find the leprechaun's gold?" Rich mocked. "Hold on, I'm coming." Hastily, I climbed the pile of trash and walked back to where I was sitting. "Look at this." I held the bag open, letting Rich and Dennis view its contents. I pulled out a tape and read its label. "Journal Entry 1. I pulled out another. "Entry 3, I read. "No way, it's someone's diary," said Dennis. "I wonder why they threw it away," I said. "Probably because they realized how stupid they were for keeping a diary," said Rich. Gosh, this has a lot of...
Alright, you know how boring you read?
I've-
You need to read with more excitement.
I'm doing it in my spooky voice. Whatever, I dropped the bag on the ground. "It's 1 in the morning. We should be heading back." Whoa, 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 whoa. 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 There was actually only 3 whoas, but I said it like 20 times, said Dennis, as he snatched the bag from the movement. What the heck are you doing, man? Don't you guys want to listen to these? Well, it could be a bit funny, said Rich. Journal entry 1. Started Dennis in a stereotypical... Oh. Say journal entry 1 in a British voice.
Entry 1.
I walked my dog, Bon Bon, today at the park and came across a rather odd squirrel. I laughed. Dennis, you're such a weenie. Fine, let's take them with us. We left the junkyard and continued to walk down the street towards my house. I remember how excited I was to listen to those tapes. Stupid, I know. But the thought of listening to someone's personal life sounded interesting to me. Once we arrived at my house, I unlocked the door and immediately walked towards the dining room. Dennis set the bag on the center of the table and pulled out the Walkman. As the three of us grabbed ourselves a seat, eager to hear what it had to say, I seized the first tape, put it in, and pressed play. I was surprised at what I heard. The voice wasn't at all what I expected. It seemed to be a boy who sounded as if he was in his late teens. Hey! What was that for?
It's for the 15-year-old.
Back to the story. Okay, this ominous Halloween music is getting a little loud, so I'm gonna turn it down. Just a wee. There we go. Hey, my name's Chris, and I'm a junior in high school. Hey, we're juniors in high school.
Yes.
I don't have many friends. Actually, I have none. Just like you, Zach.
Hurtful.
Just kidding. I guess it's just because people don't like me, or maybe because I'm just too weird. I'm not weird, am I? Anyways, that's not why I'm here. It's actually because my uncle gave me this Walkman and a few tapes. He said that the Walkman used to be his, and he just didn't have the heart to throw it away, because he used it so much as a kid. So maybe it made so he made it my birthday present. Well, I didn't have the heart to let it catch the dust in the corner, so here I am, using it. Maybe it'll come in handy one day. I don't really know. Should I go on telling about myself? Well, my favorite class is science. I'm extremely bad at math. Blue is my favorite color, and I prefer dogs over cats. A door slams in the background, causing all of us to jump. That was my mom. Her and my dad have been arguing a lot lately, for reasons I can't even bother to figure out why. I know for one thing that my dad is thinking about calling a divorce, which doesn't really bother me. It wouldn't bother anyone else. It would bother anyone else, though, but it doesn't bother me. That's not weird, right? I've been hearing a lot that I'm a little weird. I don't see why, though. I eat, drink, sleep, and live like a normal human being. That's what I think, anyways. Maybe it's just because I'm not as talkative as everyone else. Or what if everyone was just making it up, so that they would have a reason to pick on me? Frankly, I can't see why anyone would want to pick on me in the first place. What a loser, said Dennis. I can't see why people want to pick on him. I shrugged. Let's just play the next one. It's January 14th, which is 3 days since I made the last tape. I've decided that I'm going to continue making tapes and keep it as my journal. Who knows? Maybe I'll look back at these old recordings one day when I'm a bit older for a small dose of nostalgia. I'm making this one short because I have to leave in about 5 minutes. My mom's taking me to some stupid jewelry party at one of our neighbor's house because, according to her, I absolutely have to be there or I'll make a bad impression. So here I am, sitting in dress pants, a white button-up, and a stupid tie. I don't have dress shoes, so I just wore an old pair of Nike sneakers, which makes this a situation about 500 times worse. Maybe in the next tape I will talk about how the party went. Hopefully it went well enough for me to talk about. We looked at each other and laughed. Nike sneakers? Rich muttered in an almost giggly tone. Should I seriously play the next one? I'm not sure if I can handle listening to this for another 10 tapes, I asked. Dennis and Rich nodded with giant grins on their faces. January 6th, freaking 10th. It doesn't say that, it just says January 16th.
Yep.
I was punched in the face at school today by a senior whose name is Jake. Honestly, I don't even know the guy. To make my day even more wonderful, I ended up eating outside in the rain, because all the seats in the cafeteria were taken by the time I got back from the nurse's office. I could have simply cleaned up the blood by pouring from my nose by myself in the bathroom. But one of my teachers, Miss Hoffington, insisted that I go see the nurse. While I was at the nurse, I managed to get a glimpse of myself while I passed the tall mirror that hung outside of the bathroom door. I was a bit amazed at the amount of blood that was smudged across my face. Actually, it was kind of cool. I felt a small amount of pride when I got a look at my face, because I've never seen I've actually spilt that much blood in my life before. Jake got suspended, by the way. Okay. For a week to be exact. I think he should be expelled, so I didn't have to see him again. Oh yeah, and by the way, the jewelry party went well. No one noticed my Nike sneakers, and the food was good. A small amount of shock appeared on their faces. Dang, he got punched in the face? I said, well, it serves him right. Someone must have known he was making stupid tapes in his bedroom, said Dennis. How can you even be happy about getting a bloody nose, Rich added. What the heck is wrong with him? I shook my head. I don't know, man. January 20th. While fooling around on YouTube for about 2 hours. That's normal. Actually.
I usually do.
Same. I came across a weird documentary on something called If this is another Slenderman one, Zach, I freaking swear.
I didn't know it was.
It's an odd creature with no face, wearing what looks to be a suit that has tentacles, giving it a dark, spidery look. It's said to lurk in forests, and that once you see it, it stalks you before actually claiming you as its victim. No one really knows what the Slenderman actually does to his or its victims, and that we all really know that they go missing without a trace. I guess a lot of people are creeped out by this, and I can see why. The photos that depict him look pretty disturbing, but what actually generates the most fear are the stories about him. Actually, I've been listening to them all night, and I'm not scared at all, just intrigued. Turns out these stories come from a site where people just write and submit a whole bunch of creepy stories, and not all of them are about the Slenderman. Maybe this site, just maybe, this site is called creepypasta.com. I've heard a couple that talk about lost episodes of famous TV shows that depict some twisted version of the actual show. I've also heard stories about serial killers, ghosts, and whatever else is that remotely scary. Some are more gruesome, while others are just a bit eerie. I, for one, have never found any of these stories to be scary. I usually just find myself thoroughly mystified as I read. Come on. Scroll. Oh, wait. Wait. I accidentally scrolled too far down. Oh my gosh, I scrolled way too far down.
I have to cut this part out, Connor.
Nope.
Making it really hard for me.
Oh my gosh, how far did I scroll? This is a long one.
Why don't you leave in 5 minutes?
No. Hold on. Almost there. Alright, here we go. We all glanced at each other, a bit confused at what the Slenderman is. I guess that kid was a horror fan. Are you a horror fan, Zach?
Yes.
What's your favorite horror movie?
I don't know.
Well, obviously mine. Mine has to go to...
Keep reading, Connor.
Shut up. So salty. I put in the next tape and held my head in my hands, wanting to go to sleep. January 26th. Did I ever mention the site where I found all these stories from? It's called creepypasta.com.
That's creepypasta.com.
Yes, I realize that's an odd name because it's an Italian dish. Because an Italian dish is no way creepy. But if you're interested, check it out. Hey, thanks, guy. I will sure check it out. You You know, now that I think about it, these stories have shown me how much darkness exists in the world. You're never actually aware of it until you start thinking about it. What I'm saying is not crazy. It's true. Darkness lurks in the hidden corners of everyday life. Right here, right now as I'm saying this, a person is being brutally murdered.
Well,
That's probably kind of right, actually. Immediately after he said that sentence, my head shot up and I looked at Dennis and Rich, bewildered at what I just heard. They shook their heads and shrugged. Somewhere out there a person is dying. Could be a full-grown man or a child. You never realized it until you heard me say it just now. But hey, that's the real world for you. Lately I've been noticing how everyone else at my school is so blissfully ignorant to the horrible things in this world, while I'm being constantly reminded of it. No one sees what I see. It kind of makes them all look a little bit dumb. Don't they see? Don't they notice what happens around them? They hear sirens echo down the road. It could just be a plain car crash. What if it was caused by something far from our reach? They don't know that. Their eyes aren't open wide enough to notice. At least I'm aware of it. February 2nd. Have you ever noticed how much death is involved in an average creepypasta? It's almost as if death is a needed element to the story. You know, ever since I started reading these stories, I've become pretty comfortable with the thought of dying. Sometimes I laugh at those poor people in those stories. I guess they haven't realized how much of a friend death could be, even when pain is the price you have to pay for meeting him. After all, aren't we all going to face it one day? Sooner for some people, later for the rest? This kid's emo.
Yeah.
100%. There was a long pause before he spoke.
Witness the birth.
Ignore this YouTube ad.
I'm not. Yeah, all I
Yep.
am is
There we go.
gonna edit. I'll tell you later.
No, I'm just... Never mind. I've been thinking about writing my own creepypasta soon. After reading everyone else's, I figured I should try it for myself. It's worth a shot, isn't it? I think I'm going to write one about the Slender Man. Or maybe Jeff. Or maybe I'll write a story about a man who goes crazy and starts killing everyone he knows. That sounds like a wonderful idea. February 17th. They didn't accept my story. What was wrong with it? Was my grammar off? Was my spelling bad? All I wanted for it to be out there for everyone to see. Heck, it was probably one of the greatest ideas they'll ever come across, but... His voice became angrier and a bit frustrated, almost as if he was about to go off on a full-blown rant. But they turned it down. Are they too stupid to see the brilliance in what I wrote? On top of that, I found two a-holes who decided to read it and make a mockery of my hard work. Idiots. They're just a bunch of idiots who can't see the genius in one's work. A loud scream erupted from the speakers of the Walkman, and a hard thud was heard soon after. I figured that he had just thrown it out of anger. I wonder what his story sounded like, and why they turned it down. The next tape started, and Troy immediately realized how angry he was. He spoke in a loud, irritable tone, which was almost terrifying. February 22nd. Stupid people, stupid people. They should rot in hell for all I care. I shouldn't have to deal with them every day. Once I walk through that school front door, I'm surrounded by them. My teacher gave me a detention for not paying attention in class. Why should I? We're all gonna die. We're all going to die someday. And there's nothing we can do about it. But no one around me is smart enough to see that. Why can't they just open their eyes and pay attention to the horrible world around us? They're too preoccupied with their lives and what comes tomorrow instead of what comes at the very end. Did I tell you that I was pushed down the stairs today? Ben Trenner, he did it. And this time, I'm not letting go. I'm going to find him, and he's going to pay. You might be wondering how I'm going to get out of this house without my parents seeing me. It's okay. They're already gone. Dad's still at work, and Mom... There was a short pause, and a slight chuckle arose from his voice. Mom's taken care of. He'll find her when he gets home. And I'm not coming back. I don't have to deal with them anymore. What did he mean by Mom's taken care of? Asked Dennis in a hushed voice. Do you think? No, Rich cut me off. There's no way that little guy did that. Play the next one. I obliged and put the next tape, a little scared of what I might hear. February 24th. I found an old warehouse in the outskirts of town, and I've been decided that's where I'm living from now on. The lights still work in the rooms where they're not broken, and the boarded windows keep out most of the rain. It's not that bad of a place, really. I stole all the money from my mom's wallet, so food is already taken care of. In one of the rooms of the warehouse, I found a really old TV. It's a black and white one, and it uses a dial to change the station. The reception's a little bad, but I could still make out what's happening behind all the static and white noise. I decided to change it to the news channel, and I was greeted with a picture of my mom. A loud, almost evil laugh echoed from the speakers, which goes on for a few minutes. They think I'm dead, which is good on my end, because they won't bother searching for me. Oh, the glory I felt when they announced how she had been stabbed 5 times in the... Oh my gosh. It made me feel a little bit excited to know that I have done such a thing. It wasn't easy, but it sure was satisfying in the end. Now I have to find Ben. He doesn't know it yet, but tonight is his last one on Earth. Luckily for me, his house is a few blocks from here. It's 11 at night right now, and I should be finished by 1. Wish me luck. Do you wish him luck, Zach? Zach? Well, Zach's not here right now, so we're just going to keep reading. I quickly put in the next tape, now a little bit more concerned with what was going on. Was he really going to kill that kid? It almost seems too real to be a sick joke, but no matter how much I wanted to think it was just a joke, a frightening truth stood in the back of my mind, telling me that it was all true. February 25th. I've never felt so happy before in my life. You can't even imagine the butterflies I got when I saw him gurgling his own blood in a worthless attempt for fighting for his life. No one heard a thing. I was able to open one of the first floor windows without a hitch. It took me about 30 minutes to walk up the stairs without making noise. I had to be careful, for even the slightest of all noises can awake someone. When I got to his room, I was able to open the door without waking him up, and everything else that followed seemed to happen so quick, almost as if my memories of the event were a flip book. I quickly covered his mouth before I dragged in the knife across his throat, severing his jugular. I wanted to laugh at his squirming body as he died, but I didn't, out of the fear of waking his parents. I pulled open his bedroom window, jumped out, and ran. I think I hurt something in my foot when I landed, but I didn't care. All I could feel was the cold, bitter wind slicing across my smiling cheeks as I ran. I'm back at the warehouse now, and it's 1:45 in the morning. I have the TV switched to the news, waiting to hear about my newest accomplishment. We all looked at each other, still a bit traumatized at what we just heard. An uneasy atmosphere hung in the room. He killed him, and no matter how much we didn't want to believe it, we knew it was true. I hesitantly put the next tape in the socket and pressed play. Immediately, a loud, abrupt white noise blasted from the speaker, making us all fall out of our seats. Even though that would be something we'd end up laughing about, no one broke a smirk. I grabbed the next tape and put it in, turning down the volume before I pressed play, fearing there would be more static. I heard a faint noise, signaling me to turn the volume back up. This time the kid's voice sounded a bit huskier, pointing out that it was been a year or two since his last tape. January 17th. It's been a while since I made one of these. Well, a few weeks ago I was kicked out of the warehouse. I had to move my location since the police were planning to investigate the area on account of the recent murders. He started laughing again. The sound was almost sickening, and he added a sense of dread to the atmosphere. 7 people have died since I made my last tape, and each murder has become more gruesome and disturbing than the last. The last person's eyes were gorged out and their wrists broken. There was no rhyme or reason to why I did it. It was simply because I had to. It's just not enough. I need to kill. It's a thing I find the most pleasure in. It's even more fun to hear it announced to the public. Anyway, the police are investigating the area to find the body of another one of my victims. They suspected that it was the same killer as the last dozen, and they weren't wrong, so I moved my location. I walked for quite a long time through the woods that bordered the southern part of my town, before I managed to enter the next town and take refuge there. It's almost like those stories I took so much interest in. No, it's exactly like those stories. What a dream to actually be part of my own creepypasta. Oh, if only the rest of the world could hear about it. The next tape was the strangest and most horrifying that night. When I pressed play, we could all hear the static, but after a while, what we heard sounded like screaming. There was a certain quality to it. It sounded panicked and strained, as if the poor person's throat just gave out from screaming too long. January 22nd, you hear him? I know you do. That's one of my newest ideas. It makes me smile, seeing him beg and scream for help, knowing at this point nothing could save him. Why don't you just give up hope, my dear friend? gosh. You see, death isn't inevitable for you. There's no escaping it now. But hey, you shouldn't have been walking around town so late. You know that there are terrorists hiding in the corner every night, and that you should avoid them. But then you came across me. He started to laugh again. The sound of it made me want to throw the Walkman at the wall, hoping to stop the evil laughter. But I knew I had to keep listening. The best part is, he's not even restrained. I broke his legs, making it impossible for him to walk. He should be proud to be the first one of my victims to die like this. I realize that every time I kill someone, I do it too quick, to the point where it's not as satisfying as I would hope to be. But by bringing him here, I'm able to see him struggle for his life before it actually ends. Gosh, this freaking kid. Small bursts of static were heard, but even through all that we could hear what was going on. We heard heavy, slow footsteps that faded away. As the distance between the Walkman and Chris grew, the screaming became louder and more struggled. The sound of it alone made me want to puke. The screaming was then replaced with a horrible gurgling noise. Even through his blood-filled throat, you could still hear him scream, begging for his life. I heard the familiar click and felt a bit relieved. But that quickly went away as I realized there was one more tape left. February 5th. I came up with the most wonderful idea yet, and it's probably the best one. I figured that instead of just a slow and hesitant death, I'm going to let them rot and decay in their own fears. Should I tell you what it is? It's a surprise. I would hate to spoil it. The last tape clicked and we all looked at each other with a grim look on our faces. We knew what we had just witnessed in the past 10 minutes, but none of us wanted to acknowledge it or believe it was real. After sitting in silence for what seemed like 20 minutes, I spoke up. What do you think the surprise is? Rich abruptly sat up and pushed in his chair. I don't know, man, and I don't want to know. His voice had an uneasy feel to it. It almost sounded as if he was a bit frustrated. I'm leaving. I don't want to take part in any more of this. I stopped him. Wait, you can't go. What are we going to do with these tapes? Burn them. Get rid of them. Pretend it didn't happen. I'm leaving, said Rich. Dude, calm down. We have to figure this out. We have to know who he is. He could still be out there. I said Dennis turned. We should really hand them over to the police. Maybe they could do something. Really? And you know what else the police would do if we give them to them? Freaking nothing. We gotta figure this out on our own. Oh yes, you want to solve this big mystery? I know you want to know who he is, but shouldn't you try messing with someone that could kill you? Sure, he might kill me, but he also might be a crap load of other people. We have to figure out where this guy is. You're not some kind of hero, Jake. I won't bother messing with it, said Rich. I'm not trying to be a hero. What do you guys think I'm going to do? Walk outside with a flashlight and call his name like a lost dog? All I want to do is some research, that's all. We stood in uneasy silence for a moment. Why were those tapes hanging on the fence in the first place? Asked Dennis. He was right. Why do you think they were? Okay, before I continue, this is what I'm gonna guess is gonna happen. So that guy, I don't remember his name, Chris, he's still out there, right? And he put those tapes there and the Walkman. So if anyone came to get them, he would see it. He's watching it. He sees them take it. He follows them home. They listen to the tapes out of curiosity, right? And then when they're done and they leave or something, then he kills them. Because, yeah, if that makes sense. Do you think someone had already found them and was trying to get rid of them, I asked? Look, guys, said Rich. It's like 3 in the morning, we're all a bit tired, and we're all a bit confused, so trying to figure this out now would be useless. Dennis and I looked at each other and nodded a bit sheepishly, realizing how true the statement was. Rich started to walk towards the door, and Dennis followed him soon afterwards. I'll catch up with you later, Jakes, said Rich as he opened the door. Making his way out, Dennis waved goodbye at me and shut the door. Oh, he's gonna die. Jake's gonna die. And the silence that afterwards was almost sickening. I walked into the living room and turned on my TV, hoping to uplift the heavy atmosphere the tapes have caused. I grabbed my laptop, sat on the couch, and turned it on. While it was starting up, I looked into the dining room, staring at the cassette tapes and the Walkman that still sat on the table until I heard the Windows 7 startup sound call for my attention. Immediately opened up Doodle and searched for murders and deaths in this area, but nothing came up, just close to what Chris has described. I tried looking for the school he went to, hoping I would get some clues, but that didn't work. I sat for a second, staring at the Google search bar until I clicked on the URL button and typed in www.creepypasta.com. A site with a black background and a white text came up with the simple heading creepypasta.com. I scrolled the page and read some stories, and nothing. This is what he was obsessed with, I muttered to myself. Sure, some of these stories are kinda scary, but it certainly wasn't anything that can drive someone to kill. How long has this site even been up? It doesn't seem that old. This was probably around since my senior year. I shut down the laptop and turned off the TV. After I got up, I walked into the dining room and shoved all the tapes back into the bag. I decided I would hand the tapes over to the authorities the next morning. I barely went to sleep that night because I was still shooting up over what I had witnessed earlier, and I laid in bed. It almost seemed as if there was a presence, like someone besides myself was there. Oh my stress. I quickly shrugged it off as my paranoid mind caused me to feel things that weren't even there, and fell asleep soon after. When I woke, it was around 12 in the afternoon. I had slept late, which isn't surprising considering I went to bed around 5. I didn't even bother to eat or brush my teeth after I got up. I got dressed, grabbed the tapes, and got in the car. The tapes and the Walkman were sitting in the passenger seat. They seemed to emit some uneasy feeling throughout the ride, which only made me more eager to get rid of them. When I arrived at the police station, I quickly grabbed the tapes and entered the building. I didn't even bother to turn off the car. The building's lobby was vacant, and only one person who was there was the cop sitting at the desk, sipping coffee and filled out his... I dropped the bag onto the counter, causing the man to look... Can I... Oh, sorry, that's not... Sorry. Can I help you? He said in somewhat irritable tone. I think I solved a few disappearances. He raised an eyebrow at me and glanced towards the filled grocery bag that sat on his... Those? He asked. I nodded quickly. He sighed, grabbed the bag, and put it on the floor. And I said, "Alright, I'll present it to the authorities when I can." "Aren't you the authorities?" I asked, a bit frustrated at how little he was concerned. "Listen, I only hand out speeding tickets and search for lost parents at the mall. But right now, I'm doing this here paperwork, and when I get the chance, I'll hand them over to the authorities." Now with some disappointment and left, relieved that I didn't have to go close to those tapes anymore. Once I got home, I grabbed my mail and opened the front door. As I made my way into the living room, I tossed a stack of bills onto the table. I was surprised to hear something hit the one surface. When I looked back, I noticed that the manila folder that had laid on the white envelopes wasn't filled with sheets of paper, but a small object. A bit curious, I went back and opened it. I cringed when I saw what the folder had revealed. Inside was a labeled Entry 15. No, this wasn't possible. It had to be Richard Dennis. There was no way another tape was sent to me. We were the only ones who listened to them that night, and I was certain no one saw us except for a few cars that passed by when we were walking down the street. I wanted to hear what the tape said, but I remembered I gave the Walkman to police. I searched my basement for a radio, anything that I could use to play this tape in. I had to know what it said. Finally, after searching for what seemed like an hour, I came across a box in the basement that had a small cassette player inside. Hastily, I grabbed the dusty object from the box and ran up the stairs. As soon as I reached the table, I put the tape inside the player and pressed play, hoping to hear that this tape and the others were just a sick joke one of my friends had planned out. But once I heard the voice, my stomach dropped, as I felt as if I were... April 12th. "Hello, Jake. What did you think about my game? It took me a while to get it ready, but it was all worth it. I know your curious little mind won't be able to help itself. I'm surprised at how smoothly this all went out. Actually, you and your friends barely noticed me when I put that bag on the fence, and you went and grabbed it almost as if it was on cue. Are you still surprised, Jake? I've been keeping a close watch on you ever since I killed Ben, but I never actually carried out anything till now. I knew I had to save the best for last, just for you. And now that I think about it, the waiting was all worth it. I'm shocked, Jake. You seem like you don't even recognize me at all. Don't you remember punching me in the face back in high... Oh. I started to hear the sounds of leaves shuffling. It sounded as if he were walking through the woods. You guys looked pretty scared over there when you heard what you heard in that last. I can see it right through the window. Once the tape had stopped slowing unwillingly, I looked towards the window on the south side of the dining room. There was nothing there, except for bushes that stood directly in front of the glass. Terrified, I ran towards the phone to call the cops. I heard the... Hello? Just really spoke to patrol. Oh, it's you again. I meant, said the police. Listen, I told you I would. Someone. 911 doesn't go. Is he not? This doesn't move. Okay. Someone's after me. I just received another tape in the mail, and there was threats directed towards me on it. I think it's the same person who made the tapes I gave you. He's going to kill me. Officer, we'll make sure everything's locked up first, he said. Now, are you sure it's not just one of your friends trying to mess with you? I'm absolutely sure it's not one of my friends. Please send someone out here, I pleaded. Sorry, but all we can do for now is make sure no one can get in. Just go back up to your room and quietly read a book or something. I slammed the phone back. He's not listening to me. I grabbed my laptop and headed up to his room. I didn't notice before, but I was the Jake Chris had mentioned in one of his tapes, and now he was back to get me, just like how he killed Ben. I shut my door behind me and locked it, hoping it would serve as an extra layer of defense. I decided that I would document what happened to me and submit it to Creepypasta, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah. Please, for everyone's sake, if you happen to have a thing for serious stories, don't get too obsessed, or you may turn to blah blah blah. Chris, honestly, I hope you're happy. And you have your own creepypasta, and you live in what you admire so much. You were right. The darkness in a simple, scary story is more real than I thought. The end. Not bad. I have chills a little bit. Now, I'm just going to talk about this one for a little bit, and then, yeah, I'll just talk about this one for a little bit, and this has been going on for a little while longer than I thought, so I'll end this here, and I'll probably read more of these later, but, it was, I really liked it. The title warning, makes fair, doesn't really connect that much with it, but yeah, reading time 21 minutes, way off, took me 36, but I might be slower, and it might be slower out loud or something, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't make the connection of Jake and Jake. I was just, if I made that connection, I probably could have figured it out better. And the only problem I have with this is, one, when he went to the police station, that policeman should be fired. He was terrible. He's the reason he's dead. They thought that Chris died, but I don't think that would have necessarily been the first conclusion they came to. They should have, because he was missing and they didn't have a body, so he should have been a viable suspect in it. He just goes missing after, I mean, he was bullied in school, his parents were on the verge of divorce. He should have been a very viable suspect, like. And then, it takes 12 murders for them to search the area of the warehouse. They should search the area 2, even 1 murder after. Also, last I checked, I mean, I don't watch the news at all, but I don't think they would broadcast the plans police are doing, like, on the news. Like, if Murder could just watch the news and get away with everything, that's how he did it. That's why he didn't get caught at the warehouse, because he found out that they were going to investigate there, I assume from the news. And lastly, when he called the police station, I don't know why he called the police station and not 911. And if he did call 911, it shouldn't have gone to the that station. It should have gone to a 911 call person. But besides those things, that was actually really good. The format of it was fantastic. The diary, the intro, absolutely amazing. It's definitely a 8.7. It's definitely worthy of that, if not more. I mean, and then, one other problem. When people have the out finish it by saying, "Oh, I'm submitting this creepypasta so you know what's going on, and I hope you're happy, whatever, you freaking murderer." No, that's not how you end it. There's obvious... That takes away... kind of just takes away all the horror of it. I mean, like... adding creepypasta to, like, how Chris got obsessed, yeah, that's fine. A little weird, but fine. But putting the writer as he's writing this, I mean, you heard how long it was. There's no way he could write out all that before Chris killed him. It was clearly obvious. If anything, Chris was already in the room. He knew what he was doing. He knows how to kill. He's killed so many people, and he does it for fun. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, and if you want to see more, tell us in the comments. If you have any that you want us to read, comment us, link it. But we'll see you in the next video.